Ah, yes, we have great things in line for you today. And how are we all? Are we all feeling more festive? I know there's plenty of people out and about for the switching on of the Christmas lights everywhere, and fair play to so many of you who didn't let any nasty weather dampen the whole proceedings for you. But you can at least have the idea now that the lights are on. We're all going to get festive. It's a month today. I think today's the 25th, isn't it? A month today to the big day. So everybody can get proper festive. And as I said, we've plenty coming up on the show for you today. Gavin Whelan, of course, will be in as well, looking back at the weekend's sport. And a couple of things I just want to throw out there to you. I mean, one of the things I've been hearing this morning, you know, the way you hear about homeless people sleeping in doorways. Well, the Disney store in Dublin, in the Grafton Quarter, which we now have to call it the Grafton Quarter, they want permission to put up basically shutters because they have quite a number of homeless people sleeping in their doorways, and everyone's up in arms about it. Some people are saying, fair play, if you're coming into work, you shouldn't have to be coming into work to people, poor unfortunate people, albeit, but people sleeping in the doorway. And other people are saying it's not up to the Disney crowd or any other company to facilitate people who are trying to, sleep in the doorway. So I just wondered, what do you think about it? Do you think in terms of staying homeless people sleeping in the doorway, or do you think that they're right, you shouldn't have to come if you're coming into work with that? It's very unfortunate, but there are places for people to go. Or are there places for people to go? You can let me know. 083 333 975. Let's have your thoughts on that. And also a very interesting piece to let you know about later on, which is about politicians' pensions. It will make your blood boil. So that'll be coming up a little bit later on. But first up this morning, I have Sinead O'Neill from the Health Equality for the South East Group. You're very welcome to the programme, Sinead.
Thank you.
How are you?
Very well, thank you, on this damp morning.
It's horrible, yeah. It's absolutely miserable. But we should be used to it now. It's been like the monsoon for the past 2 weeks, if you ask me.
That's right. I don't know where that rain comes from. Yeah.
Now, there's a demo planned for outside the Dáil on Thursday.
That's right, Maria. We're taking a quiet, peaceful, dignified demonstration to Dublin this coming Thursday at 1 o'clock. Again, to highlight the desperate situation that is lack of 24/7 cardiac care here in the South East. We're taking declarations, voting declarations, to the Dáil on Thursday that have been signed by people of the South East in the last 6 to 12 months, stating that they will not vote for the current government without cardiac 24/7 care.
And do you think that they will stick by that? Because I think people tend to vote for things that, I think if it has affected you personally, then you will. But if it hasn't affected you personally, then you'll just tend to vote for people who you think will do you personally. I think we're selfish voters in this country. I really do.
I think you're right, and I think we're habitual voters. But this time I do think that things will change. We were 5 years on and nothing has changed in UHW. We still have, one cath lab that operates 39 hours a week, and outside of those hours, it's in the ambulance, it's on the road to Dublin or Cork, and it's no longer acceptable. And I think, we saw in the local elections how things changed this year, and I think in the national elections next year things will also change.
And I never understand, and I never quite get why, and most of the time when people say, well, they're trying to do Waterford down at this, that and the other, I don't kind of buy into that attitude either. But I think in this instance, I am baffled as to why we don't have 24/7 in the South East. Absolutely baffled.
As are we at the Health Equality for the South East Group and the other groups who campaign tirelessly for the same outcome for 24/7. The question has to be asked now, are our hearts in the right place? Geographically, and for this government, are they supporting us? Are their hearts in the right place to support the 500,000 people in the South East who don't have access to this basic health requirement?
But as I've said before, like this 500,000 people, this magical figure that you're supposed to reach as well, which is the reason that they gave why we don't get it. Why is it based on that? Why can you not have people from Dublin travelling down to Waterford for a change.
Well, therein lies one of the many issues here. There are 21 cath labs in Dublin.
Like Ireland is tiny. Ireland is...
It's tiny. Yes, absolutely. But in Dublin, there's 21 cath labs. And there are 2 separate centres. They both have 2 cath labs each, and both of those locations with 2 cath labs have 24/7 cardiac care. We have 1 cath lab here for over 500,000 people that operates 39 hours a week. That's the fundamental problem here.
Now, there is a second one coming, isn't there?
Now, so we believe, again, Maria, we're a long way down the road with commitments and declarations and statements being made across the board. Again, let's imagine that it goes to planning and it goes to tender. We're still looking at 12, or 18 to 24 months. So it's possibly 2 years before we have a second cath lab here. At that, will we have staff to man, a second cath lab? In the interim, they're talking about hiring another cardiologist, which would be terrific. But then within that, they're only talking about expanding the service 8 to 8. That is not what we're looking for. We're looking for 24/7. So in the first instance, we may, have a second cath lab in 18 to 24 months, I beg your pardon. But that cath lab is not guaranteed to be open either for 24 hours a day. So we're looking 8 to 8, a second cardiologist in place. All of this not guaranteed. Nothing has been laid out. There's no concrete plan in place. Although we are being led to believe that it's going to tender, that we're recruiting for a second cardiac consultant. So, the fight has to go on. We want 24/7. We don't want 8 to 8.
And what you're hoping, because people maybe would be thinking, look, what's the point? You're going up to the Dáil, you're going to stand outside the Dáil for an hour. What is the point? We had a huge protest here in the southeast, in Waterford, and that didn't do any good, really. Like, what is the point of this?
Well, the point of it really is, I suppose, to let, our Oireachtas members know that we're still here and we're not giving up. The fight goes on. And we have these voting declarations. And as well as I do, there's nothing scares a politician more than thinking I may not get in the next time around. Mm-hmm. These are signed by people of the southeast, and we have several thousands of them. We have already delivered several thousands of them. But this is just to let them know we're still here and we're not going away. And we want 24/7. We want a second cath lab. And we are going to deliver the declarations to Leo Varadkar on Thursday. And in saying that, I hope that our own Oireachtas members will come out and greet those who have travelled and talk to them and tell them what's going on. But this really isn't a call for people to travel from Waterford on Thursday. We're calling to the diaspora in Dublin. If they're on their lunch break on Thursday, 1 o'clock, pop over, support us. The group who have been campaigning for this for many, many years will be there. We'll all be there. But it's just if anybody's around, who has an interest in Waterford and the people down here on their lunch break in Dublin, come out and support us and deliver the message that we're not going away.
And can you explain to me and explain to people listening maybe, because there's a lot of groups involved in this, why is there so many different and why isn't there unity between them, if you like, and just one group fighting for the one thing?
Well, I suppose we have different groups started at different times, and I suppose we all do work together. We were all in Dublin together in April. We were out on the tubes again in May here in Waterford. We do work together, and this is not about one organisation. This is about the Southeast. This is about us fighting for what is our right, is to have this cardiac 24/7 care. We pay the same taxes down here, and I hate this argument, but it's so valid. Why are our taxes any different to those, who have access in Dublin to different centres with 4 cath labs operating 24/7? We're paying the same taxes. We live by the same rules. Why are we not getting the same service? All the groups are working together, and we'll continue to work together.
And I have to say, in fairness to all the groups, and this is going to sound like I'm being really rude, but I can't think of a better and more effective way to put it. But it's like you're all like a dog with a bone with this. You're just not letting it go. And I can't understand, from a government point of view, even to make that stop, because it looks bad constantly to have people saying, like, why is it different in the southeast? There's a lot of voters in the southeast. Why is southeast being treated differently? Why is Waterford being treated differently? And to have that message constantly going out from an electorate, I can't understand from a government point of view how they don't go, oh, give it to them.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, we are, all of the groups down here are campaigning for the same thing. We're campaigning together. We're all, as you say, we're like dogs with bones. We're not going to rest until this happens. I think, you know, and it's always difficult to go down the pointing the fingers and accusing people and blaming people. But we have elected representatives in Dublin who are propping up a government who are failing the people of the South East. And they continue to do so. And, you know, they blow smoke at us every now and again, and they're beating each other down to be the first to announce this and announce that, and yet nothing's happening.
But would you think, in fairness, Sinead, would you think that this issue would be enough to bring a government down for the entire country?
It should be. It should be enough. Because if other locations, if Cork were being treated like this, if Galway were being treated like this, it would happen. You know, we have 4 seats here. One of them isn't occupied and hasn't been occupied for over 3 years. You know, we don't have a seat at the table. You know, we have ministers who are there and they're constantly promising. And I do recall, you know, one individual in particular saying that he would take the government down if this weren't sorted out. That was last September. Was it 2 years? And it still hasn't happened. And it's very infuriating for everybody down here to have these people who are supposed to be representing us, who are failing us every day.
Sinead, is there a group going if they want to go? Is there a bus, or is this just a group of people and hopefully other people from Dublin will join in if it's convenient for them?
Well, that's the intention at the moment, that we're reaching out to people in Dublin, that we're not putting any pressure on anybody to travel from Waterford. But certainly if anybody is interested in travelling, we can make arrangements for them, no problem. Onto the Facebook page, HEFC, Health Equality for the South East, get in touch with us there. And we can have a chat and make arrangements for people. If there is the call to get a bus organised or to get travel arrangements made for people, we'll certainly make that happen.
OK, Sinead, thanks very much for talking to me.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
See you, bye-bye. That's Sinead O'Neill there from the Health Equality for the South East group. Let's have your thoughts. 083 333 975 or 05187 846 123 is the Deise line. And I have plenty of reaction coming into that, and I'll bring some of those to you when we come back after the... You are welcome back to the programme. This texter says, hi, I got a text, a tax rebate from Revenue live from a mobile number. I reported it to the Gardaí as I'm sure it's a scam. No, I think they like sending out those brown envelopes with the harp on. That gives us all a heart attack, and there's no 24/7 in Waterford. Let's hope these people never find themselves homeless, says this texter. This is on foot of something I kicked off the programme with, which is the Disney store in Dublin's Grafton Street. They have applied for permission to put a gate or a shutter down in front because homeless people, God help them, are sleeping in the doorway, and it can be kind of unpleasant for the staff coming into work. And again, sorting out the homeless situation is not the job of the Disney group, nor is it the job of the staff coming into work. And then there's another group that's saying, but like, it's actually helping because it's sheltered and people can go in and sleep there. So we're just wondering what you thought about it. Would you think, yeah, it's not right that Disney should have to put up with that, or any other company should have people sleeping in the doorways? Or do you think, let them off? They obviously don't want to go into any shelters that are there, and what harm is giving them a little bit of shelter out of the rain or anything like that? 083 333 975. That is how you get in touch with the programme. Maria, I vote for anyone who deserves it. If I never find fault, I don't know how this came in, but Charlie gave us free travel and Micheál Martin stopped. I was never Fianna Fáil, I think that's what you meant, but Charlie gave us free travel and Micheál Martin stopped the smoking, so that's good enough for me. Mary Lou MacDonald, who's a great speaker, and even she got it wrong, and she said Wexford did not need a second cath lab. Are we ever on the map, says Eileen. If they can't man one cath lab 24/7, why waste money on the second one that can't be 24/7? Use that money to hire more staff for the first one. That's all jolly fine until some piece of equipment goes wrong in your one cardiac. I'm all for getting the second one. I think it's it's a good idea, because something goes wrong in the one that you have, and there all of a sudden then you've got none again. So I've no problem with the idea of a second one, but I just think even to stop people going on about it, if I was government, I'd be saying, just give it to them. Jesus, I can't listen to this anymore, and it makes us look really bad if we're going to be out canvassing and everything, and there we are going to tell those people that they can go to Cork or they can go to Dublin, but God forbid anyone from Dublin should have to drive the 2 hours down the road to get some kind of treatment in Waterford, and the country the size of a pea at the end of the day. Anyway, enough out of me. Dinah Connolly, good morning.
Good morning,
How
Maria.
are you?
I'm great.
Not really enough out of me. I'm here till 12, I'm afraid. Jeanette, of course, we know you as Director of Care in Waterford with the Home Instead Senior Care Group. And the reason that we're in is that according to new figures from the HSE, the number of bed days lost as a result of delayed discharges stood at 197,160 up to the end of October, which is absolutely appalling, because we've people crying out to get into hospital. We've other poor people who, this horrible name of bed blockers, but in effect that's really what they are, through no fault of their own. They don't need to be in hospital. They should be somewhere else, and there isn't the facility to help that to happen. That must be very frustrating for people like yourself.
Well, it's frustrating, not so much for ourselves, but it's for the people that avail of services like ourselves and the services of the HSE home care. You know, it is really, really frustrating when you know that there's people in hospital that would love to be at home or are waiting on nursing home beds. And I think it just falls back to a system that hasn't planned ahead. You know, the ageing population's increased, and we've not put in the systems to deal with that. There is a reform of home care underway. They hope to implement next year, but you know, we are where we are today, and it is very concerning that, you know, people that need to get into hospital beds can't get in because there's people in the beds
who don't need to be there. I mean, it just grinds my gears. Like, I can't stand things that just don't make sense at all, and I can't stand things that it costs more money to keep somebody in a hospital bed that they don't need rather than to facilitate them going home. And
I think that's evolved over years, because we have a budget that is the acute budget, and we have a budget that is community-based. And, you know, it's two different budgets here involved. So the reform of the health system will help that everyone, the money should follow the patient. You know, we, you know, I suppose as an organisation are very much trying to help people, you know, through this difficult time when home care isn't available because there's no budget at the minute. There's the Winter Initiative that is helping some people. So we're trying to give some advice as to, you know, maybe how to keep people out of hospital as well, keeping an eye out for subtle little changes of older people, calling in on your family and friends that are older, making sure they have their medications, making sure they're eating well, that they are warm, you know, and living comfortably at home, to prevent them going into hospital, because we don't want people, you know, getting into this circle, which just seems to be never ending. So I suppose with Christmas coming up, we're also saying, look, you know, when you go home, you might notice subtle changes. Talk to family, you know, try and put some changes in place. And it's better to plan rather than be reactionary to care needs.
Yeah, and there was a couple of those things that you highlighted in that I wouldn't have thought of. I wouldn't have thought, you know, about food spoiling in the fridge. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought that was like maybe a bit of a red flag. I would just have thought they didn't need it.
What happens is people, you know, if people aren't eating, their food sits there and spoils. Maybe people aren't able to see expiry dates, aren't able to manage doing day-to-day tasks. Another really subtle one is if people aren't looking, you know, as well kept as they normally do. And that might be that they're not able to have a shower. And it could be maybe they can't get into the shower that they've got. So it's a matter of looking and seeing, why do they look a little different to maybe last Christmas when I was at home? And a big bugbear of mine is trip hazards. The worst thing that could happen to any older person is that they trip over and fall, and heaven forbid they break their hip. Around the house, the biggest thing is mats on the floor. They're dangerous. People trip over them. Look around for furniture. You know, try and make a home environment safe for an older person. They're not as mobile as they used to be, and make the home as safe as possible to prevent these things happening and prevent them ending up in hospital.
Wouldn't it kind of make sense when we're building houses to build them to accommodate that.
Yeah.
You know,
and building houses, I think, has got better. I think people also are a lot more conscious. When people are renovating homes, accessible showers, accessible homes. But a lot of older people are living in older style homes where simply, like, the bathroom might be downstairs, they sleep upstairs, vice versa. That maybe in homes without en suites. So that can pose challenging for people as well.
And I think. I don't know if you've seen that Christmas ad. I don't think it's an Irish or an English ad. I think it's German or something. But the old man who's sitting at his Christmas dinner and nobody comes. They're all too busy. They're busy being doctors and they're busy with their own lives. And then they get word that he's dead.
I know.
And they all come back, and he's not dead at all. He just did it to bring them home and bring them together. And
look, I haven't seen it, but I could just really associate it with it. And it's something too, I think we all get lost in this big festive season spirit that's coming up. But don't forget the seniors around us. And all they don't want flash presents. They want you to visit them, to talk to them. The basic things are so important to an older person.
Do you think, in general, they feel invisible?
Yeah, and they feel lost. And I think they feel lost because there's been so much technology introduced. So, if you've got the grandchildren calling, they might be sitting there with a phone or a tablet. To them, that must be just so hard to get their head around. So maybe ask children to engage with their grandparents using this technology, show them photos, tell them what they're doing so maybe they understand and involve them, because they do. I think they feel a bit lost with the world has just in such a short period of time changed so much.
Because I think there's such a wealth of experience and life sense in older people that it's just wasted if nobody actually talks to them about it. And I will say that if you love your granny's apple pie or her stew or her roast or her gravy or anything, get the recipe, get her to show you how to make it, because there'll come a time when she won't be there and you'll be gumming for that and you'll be sorry you didn't find out.
There's a wealth of knowledge and even look too, I always think of the time of the snow a couple of years ago. It made people get things like jigsaw puzzles out and the board games. Family time and involving the seniors would be really, really important over Christmas.
Are we getting better or worse in terms of how we treat older people?
In some ways we're getting better, in other ways we're getting worse. I think the people are recognising the need that we need to look after them, that they're a larger population, they have a wealth of knowledge. Even from a business point of view, that age group are probably the people with a higher disposable income. So that they're a very important part of our society, but we also do alienate them a lot, especially with technology and not involving them in decisions that affect them.
Is retirement the worst thing? Because I imagine when people get to retirement age, they feel like their purpose in life. I mean, some people can't wait for retirement and they think great, but for other people, maybe their career was their entire reason for being, if you like, and they're at a complete loss when they're not in the career that they've worked all their lives in.
And I think that successful ageing is often about how people's attitude and how they embrace that time in life and prepare for it. And it seems to be a common theme. We're very bad at preparing for things, particularly here in Ireland. We don't prepare for getting older. We don't prepare thinking, what am I going to need when I get older? To live a happy, healthy life.
OK, we'll leave it there, Dinette. Thanks very much for joining me.
Maria. That's
the Director of Care in Waterford, Dinette Connolly with Home Instead Senior Care. And she's been talking to me about how we can how we can value our older people more, and also the situation if there you are in hospital, taking up a bed that you don't need to be in, other people dying to get into the bed that you're in that you don't need to be in, and it costing more money to keep you in that bed than it does to send you home with a bit of a care package. Makes no sense whatsoever. I hate things that do not make sense. 083 333 975. I'm narky today, I have to say. 083 333 975 or 051 846 123 is how you get in touch with the programme. Back after these. You are welcome back to the programme. John was on to say, why should the government bother giving 24/7 cardiac care to Waterford? People still vote for them anyway, voted for the same parties in the local elections. Thousands went on marches and the same thousands went and voted like sheep. It saves the government a few euro by not giving it to us, and they're still voted in. Another caller says it's about time this government was brought down. He was listening to Damien English yesterday, who said 10,000 homes would be built next year. Not a hope of that. Government trying to spoof people, says this caller. And on the text line, very impressed with Sinead for the equality for the South East. Why not have an ad campaign between now and the general election highlighting the cost of providing 24/7 cardiac care in the South East versus the cost of rural broadband and the cost of the Children's Hospital? Would you need an ad campaign really to sort that out? I think we all know, like, one would be millions and millions and millions and the other wouldn't be millions at all. Should we be concerned, says this texter, that 16 illegal migrants of unknown background landed here last week and now they have left their accommodation? Nobody knows their whereabouts. If they were desperate, as we're hearing, wouldn't they have stayed around? Well, maybe they heard that once you go into that thing, you're stuck there for ages and, you know, nobody kind of does that for you, because I can't understand how people are in direct provision in this country for so long. James says, hi Maria, we have homeless sleeping in the People's Park and at the back of Penny's here in our own city. We should not condemn them. Those people should be helped. It's very sad some people pass them by and don't care about them with all the money that's going to be spent on Christmas, on fancy things. And to see those poor people living with nowhere to go, eating food on cardboard on the ground, God love them. That is from James in Polbury. And another person says, thank God for the Simon community and the Capuchin Friars for feeding the people who are on the streets. Somebody else has an idea. It's Mary. She says, hi Maria, every parish priest live in a huge house on their own in County Waterford. Why don't they share and give one in each parish to the homeless people? Somebody else says, well done to the organisers of Winterville. It was great to see the city looking so well and very busy. Let's hope the weather improves and people support it. Keep your texts and comments coming in and whatever is exercising your brains this morning on 083 3333 975, or you can call 051 846 123. Now, you're never too old to learn. I think that is a rule that a lot of us should live by, and it's certainly one that my next guest will be promoting. He's Neil Quinlan. He's Head of Lifelong Learning at WIT. You're very welcome to the programme, Neil.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Sometimes I think that if you go back to education later in life, after the times that you're supposed to, that you appreciate it more and you're more interested in it and you're more engaged with it. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. The world is changing a lot these days. Technology is changing, and with the world changing around us, we all need to keep up to date and adapt and keep our skills up to date and so on. And the government is really cognizant of this, and with programs like the Springboard program offered in WIT, there's great opportunities for people now to engage in lifelong learning, both from a kind of a career point of view, if you call it that way, and also just from to broaden their own horizons.
So just explain what the Springboard programme is for people who don't know. It
started out during the real crash, and it was just a way to kind of, while people, a lot of people were laid off, and there was an opportunity there to maybe go back to college and do another course and, get yourself back in work, and it worked out really well for an awful lot of people. Now, thankfully, employment figures are better, but so it's moved now, and it's open to people who are employed, and also very much open to anybody who is between jobs as well, and also open to. They were using the phrase homemakers first, and they've changed it now to returners. I don't know what the
I don't know which is worse.
Yes, I know, and we're kind of had that debate at a briefing meeting in Dublin with them the other day, trying to find one snappy title, but anyway, people who stepped out of work for whatever reason and now want to kind of get back in, it's a great way to get back in, to do a course with a work placement element. And we love them coming into us because they make superb students. Obviously, they're just very, very committed. I suppose a big thing with the Springboard courses is that they're all 1 year. So the light is very much at the end of the tunnel always, and adult learners are typically time poor. They're managing young kids, might be helping out with elderly parents or both, many of us, and so on. And so, the courses have to be put on in a way that's amenable to keeping a lot of other stuff going in your life. And so all the Springboard courses are designed that way.
So they are specific courses. It's not like I just go into a normal course as a Springboard person.
No. There's kind of a list. We bid for funding for them each year, and we get a list. Now, they're in kind of a lot of the areas which are more amenable to getting jobs in commercial business and whatever, rather than say there isn't that many courses in the kind of social sector are funded for them. So it's a narrow band of courses, but at least it's there. So the type of things funded under Springboard are business courses, computing, engineering. We have some hospitality course this year, BA in Culinary Arts, and there's a great demand for people in the hospitality sector. And then science. So, for the pharma companies around town and so on, that there's courses to help people already in there, or to help them kind of get the foot in the door of one of those companies.
And there must be quite a difference from the time they start the course till the time they finish, and they hopefully pass, and they can, the difference, because you've put a lot of effort in, as you say, people with maybe mind and kids and work, and it takes a lot of effort to commit yourself for that year.
It does, and we try and, give people an accurate idea coming into it about the time commitment and whatever, but it's not all, a grind either, that there is a very social aspect to learning, and some people kind of do it partly to broaden their network amongst in their area, in their career area, for people around town. So it's very good in that regard.
And how do people apply, and how do they get involved in it?
There's a national website, www.springboardcourses.ie, and you just go on there, set up an account. For anybody who's working, it's 90%, all the courses are 90% funded at level 6, so the level just after leaving cert. The courses are 100% free for everybody. But after that, people who are employed pay just 10% of the fee. Anybody who's unemployed, all the courses are completely free. And you just register there. You can see the list of courses that are on offer at WIT on wit.ie/springboard. And so we have a bunch of courses which are starting actually in January in business computing, automation engineering, culinary arts, as I mentioned, and advanced drug formulation. So there's a range of stuff there. And then in terms of the more general adult education courses, we also offer a range of fee-paying courses. Unfortunately, they're not funded under the Springboard scheme, but the fees aren't onerous, and those are in areas in business such as digital marketing, payroll, HRM. Our HRM is always a very popular one. And then we broaden it out. We're offering a course in Chinese language and culture, Spanish. There's a beautiful fully online course in Western art music that a colleague has developed, just a short course that one might do for interest. And, of course, there is also the Certificate in Radio Broadcasting and Presenting that we do now for a good few years now with BEAT and WLR, which is a very popular course as well.
Okay, so people should really, because we're coming into a new year now, and I think people think a lot about, I've always wanted to do something like that. Maybe let this coming year be the year that you do it. Yeah,
absolutely. Like the barriers in terms of bureaucracy to going into adult education courses are, they're not so bad. Like with the CAO that the school leavers do, there's a whole year lead in and a lot of form filling. With ourselves, you typically, until the course fills up, you can typically apply right up to the starting date, which is typically for January and mid-January. And we actually have an open evening coming up on the Wednesday the 4th of December from 5 to 7, just in the main atrium there in WIT. And it's a great opportunity for people to come along, find out more about Springboard, find out more about the other part-time courses. And that's Wednesday the 4th of December from 5 to 7.
And I'm just throwing this at you, so no problem if you can't answer it. I'm sure you'll be able to come back to us with an answer.
Do my best.
Tony. He says he's 67-year-old retired male. He'd like to do an Irish course. Do WIT do any course that he could do?
We're certainly looking at a Gaeilge course. There is, again... not to talk myself out of a good student, but we're not the only provider in the whole country these days, and there's more and more stuff starting to go online. Now, that doesn't suit everybody, and depending on the like other traditionally offered courses, there's good ones and bad ones and whatever. But we have offered Irish in the past, and we are looking at it again. It's worth keeping in mind, actually, just as a bit of an aside, that I'm on the kind of adult ed side of WIT, but there's a whole range of stuff offered during the daytime in the college. And so if perhaps that chap, Tony could sign up you can sign up for individual modules on the daytime courses. As well, Tony. So there's a whole massive range of stuff that you can do in that regard. So come
back to us at the end of 2020, Tony, getting completely fluent in Irish. That we want to hear from you. Okay, best of luck to you, Neil. Thanks very much for coming in.
You're very welcome.
That is Neil Quinlan, there, head of lifelong learning at WIT, and you'll get all the information on the WIT website about those springboard courses, if that's something that you want to do, maybe coming up to the new year. Okay, back with more for you after these. You are welcome back to the programme now. See what you think about this. Do you share Frankie's opinion? And Frankie says on the WhatsApp line, well, you don't get me wrong, I love Winterval, but I watched the light show on Saturday with the grandchildren, but I wasn't impressed with it. Didn't find it as Christmassy as the other shows in the past. Is it me, or did anyone else feel the same? Do you agree with Frankie or not? Let's have your thoughts. 083 3333 975 is how you get in touch. Councillor Joe Kelly's been on to say, Maria, while the government hands over €7 to €8 billion per year for the so-called bailout, we will never have enough money for all the services we need. Homelessness now 24/7, 200 staff vacancies in University Hospital Waterford. People need to vote wisely in the next general election. We seem to have plenty of money. I didn't get a chance to read this out. I'll read it out before the programme is out. It was in the Sunday Business Post yesterday, but we seem to have enough money to pay pensions, and more than one pension to TDs, so I'll be dealing with that before 12 as well, as the narkiness continues with Maria today. But Shamie says I'm not a bit narky. I am a bit today. I'm a bit narky today, but only because I hate things that don't make sense, and I hate things that are unfair, and that's what makes me laugh. Narky. But as Shamie says, that's the way people should be about the health issue. No point in being polite. But let's do something a little bit. This is a good advice for you now, because a lot of people buy gift cards for Christmas, and I love receiving gift cards, I have to say. I'm not one of the people who think it's a very thoughtless gift and nobody has to put any thought into it, they just give you. I love them, and I think a lot of other people love them as well, but sometimes the rules and regulations about them annoy us, but that is about to change. Dermot Jewell of the Consumer Association of Ireland is on the line now. Dermot, good morning.
Good morning, Maria.
How are you? Welcome back to the programme.
I'm grand, and it's good to be back, especially, as you say, speaking in terms of what is some good news at long last, and particularly in terms of gift vouchers.
So just explain what we can expect. So nobody should buy a gift card this week for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. And why? Because there's finally there's a new bill which will be signed into law by the President this week, which will come into effect on Friday, the 29th of November. And what it will do is that it will provide that from the 29th of November, once the bill is enacted, any gift card or voucher that's issued must be valid for a minimum of 5 years. And in addition to that, a couple of other positive rules will apply. For example, if and when you're using it, will you be entitled to some change or another gift voucher if there's a balance outstanding, elements like that. But they all come into effect on the 29th, and it's not retrospective. So that's why we're suggesting, look, just hold off for a week, because anything you purchase currently now in terms of a voucher or a gift card will be under the old regime, which means that, to all intents and purposes, it will either expire after 12 months at maximum, or it will start to attract charges, administration charges, after the expiry of the 12th month.
That's really annoying as well, isn't it? Those stupid administration charges. Like, just, you got your money, that's all. You don't have to take away the money from my gift card because I didn't bloody spend it. You're
right, and it's an interesting one. The only positive behind that is the reason that it's the purported reason that it's there. The difference with a voucher and that gift card and the fact that you're paying money, the voucher ridiculously expires currently after either 3 or 6 or 12 months, whatever term is on it. So let's say it's €100. So the €100 you passed across the counter in cash to somebody has devalued to nil because they determined off their own bat that it would do so. Now that the new bill will change all of that, it gives you a minimum of 5 years lifespan on it. Now, that's assuming that that business will be is still going in 5 years' time. So, there's if you like, once you pay the money and once you take it, you're not really protected. What they say with the gift card element or the gift token element is that yes, there's an amount of money that's deducted each month on an administrative basis, but it's guaranteed that if anything happens to business, the money will be refunded to you or whatever balance is remaining. Of course, we've always had the problem about this amount. Let's say it's another €100 and something we might just get a moment to discuss shortly. You don't use it or you forget about it. Each month an amount starts deducting from that, and it can quite quickly devalue it. So there's swings and roundabouts and pluses and minuses to both of them. The positive we're looking at now is that it has to be there for 5 years, so we've got over one of the major humps that we've been trying to do for years.
I was always one of those people who, if I got a voucher or I got a gift card or anything like that, I always kind of kept it for a while, like just to kind of, just to mind it and spend it when I needed something. What a moron. Like, spend the bloody thing as soon as you get it.
It's true, but I have to, I was saying earlier on to somebody else, the really, and your listeners will probably understand where I'm coming from. The really startling advice on this was that recently the Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation, they looked at, went to industry and asked about what was happening with gift vouchers. The average sale in a year is €600 million in gift vouchers. But the frustrating and frightening element of that, and I did know this, is that about 120 million of that is never redeemed.
Well, that's
people
unreal,
forget
isn't it?
them, lose them. It is, and when you think the use it could be put to, the loss to the consumer, the benefit to the
waste of money
sector, just free money.
Yeah.
So you're right. We all do it, and I have one at home. I put my hands up. Well, I put one of my hands up. The other one's holding this phone. But I definitely have a voucher that I need to use, and I'm giving advice to people, get out and use it. So I'm taking my own advice and going to use it, Maria.
Definitely.
It's ridiculous.
Dermot, thanks a million as always.
A pleasure. Take care.
See you. Bye-bye. That's Dermot Jewell of the Consumer Association of Ireland there. And yeah, I don't know if you do that, like you just mind it and just keep it for something special, something that I really want. No, as soon as you get it, out the door to the shops. That's what you should be doing.